Oskino Don, back with another live. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button, run them likes up, and drop a comment below what you think about the topic that I will be covering today. So, as you all are aware of, it is the year 2024, and a lot of things are going on around the world, right? I don't just cover things that happen in the country that I reside in, which is the United States, but the whole world, because there's a lot of unrest going on, there's a lot of violence going on, and there's not too much coverage of it out there. So I just like to, so to speak, report on certain things that I feel people should be more aware of and things that, you know, I'm passionate about sharing. And today's topic is going to be Ecuador, how and why it is destabilizing. Now, I know a lot of people feel a certain way about, the quote unquote borders and allowing people to come in from different countries. But you must remember that the country that we live in, the United States, well, people came over here and disregarded any quote unquote borders. And I'm pretty sure there weren't borders back in 1492. And that's another topic that we can discuss at a different date. What I say that to say is a lot of people are trying to escape situations that are bad. Not everybody that is coming into this country is a criminal. Hell, we got criminals that are citizens already in our country. So I'm not mad at anybody trying to escape a situation that they're in to try to go to a better situation. So, do I think that the situation with the border is a problem? Yes, because it just seems like everybody's coming in without any regulation. Now, if you want to come here and work and add to the economy, come right in. But if you come here and you start doing, illegal activities and trying to harm people, well, I can see why people have a problem. So we gotta find a middle space for that where we can allow people to come in here and add to the economy and add to the good of what we're trying to keep, at least, or preserve of the United States of America, even though I believe that this country is now a corporation. But there is something that I want to share with you guys, and this was happening on live TV. And shout out to Reuters.com. I believe that is the website. If I'm not mistaken, I will re-quote it. Well, I should say what's the word I'm looking for? I will shout out my source, for lack of a better term right now. Okay, so is it Reuters? Let's see what we got. Yep, Reuters.com. So what I'm about to play is a video when they were reporting live news and it got bombarded by some criminals that are down in Ecuador that are part of a drug trafficking, and the cocaine drug trafficking has been a real issue in Ecuador. So I'm gonna play a video. This is happened live during a report. You're not gonna hear the volume. Look at that, holding them at gunpoint. So I do not have the copyrights to this, so you will not be able to hear the volume. But just this is the type of stuff that's going on as they're shooting live broadcast. Okay? A lot of violence going on in this country, and there are people all over the world that just want to live their life, be close with their family, and not be bothered and don't bother anybody else. So, I know a lot of people have an issue with the border, and I can understand because it just seems like the floodgates are opening up for them to come through. But said more than 8,000 violent murders happened in 2023, which is twice the amount of the previous year. And I said during the pandemic, this is where all of the destabilization that started with Ecuador. And recently, an anti-corruption presidential candidate was assassinated. So there is a lot of stuff going on that in other countries that we're not fully aware of, and we just think that people are coming here just to quote unquote ruin our country. When in fact, according to this article, which I'm going to get into, the United States is actually going to be funding Ecuador, the government of Ecuador, about $200 million for weaponry so that they can try to restabilize their country. But like I said, there's always an agenda, right? And like, do we have an agenda where, we're giving them money, but then they got to do things on what our government that's lending them the money on their terms. So there's all of these type of things that come into play that you have to be aware of, and this is why you have to do your own research. This is why you can't just listen to what people tell you. You have to actually do the digging and the research, look at different articles and sites, and see it from a different point of view. So it said Monday it reached a state of emergency, military patrols, national nighttime curfew, and on Tuesday, in an updated decree, Naboa said, who's the new president, internal armed conflict in the country and identified several gangs as terrorist groups. The decree ordered the armed forces to neutralize the groups. Police say they have made dozens of arrests. Some Ecuadorians are questioning why the president is not taking harsher measures against gangs. Naboa plans to hold a security focus. I couldn't keep up with it. Sorry, y'all. Um, they want to assist seizures from suspected criminals that should be allowed. So that was just a little clip to show you guys what's going on over there. Why so many people are fleeing Ecuador. It's a lot of corruption. Corruption is going everywhere. There's a lot of civil unrest in a lot of countries, then there across the whole world. So, just think about that before you be so harsh on people that are just trying to live a better life. Now, like I said, it's hard to, gauge who's gonna do what, but do you want freedom or do you want control? And do you just want it for yourself and not everybody else? Because if so, then you're never gonna get it anyway. Now, so according to the Reuters article, January 10th, Ecuador was reeling from a fresh wave of violence that has shaken the South American nation, with President Daniel Noboa launching a military crackdown on gangs after criminal groups took more than 100 prison staff hostage and armed men dramatically interrupted a live television broadcast, which I just showed you guys a video of. This crisis highlights the challenges ahead for Noboa, who took power in November after pledging during an election campaign to curb violence as drug trafficking gangs increasingly transport cocaine through Ecuador. And it says, why has Ecuador's security deteriorated? The security in Ecuador has worsened since the coronavirus pandemic, which has also battered the Andean nation's economy. The number of violent deaths rose to 8,008 in 2023, the government has said, nearly double the 2022 figure. The violence crossed into political arena last year when an anti-corruption presidential candidate was assassinated. Now, this happens all the time, right? Like as far as certain countries taking out certain people because they're not going along with the program. Like in a lot of countries, particularly Ecuador, Mexico, they have a these gangs have a strong hold and influence on how the nation is ran. And just like any man or woman, don't matter, any human out there, it's very rare that they don't have a price, right? And a lot of these people get bribed, they get bought by the gangs, unbeknownst to the ordinary citizen that lives in said country. So this is why you see the border out of control. But the United States, as they always do, is trying to play patrol the world and trying to see where they can help, but also help themselves. They're going to lend out about $200 million uh, worth of weaponry to Ecuador, but what's the kickback, right? There's always a kicker to it. And I know a lot of people are upset. They don't want people flooding this country because they think that's what's ruining the country. When the real thing that is ruining the quote unquote United States of America, which I always call the United States Corporation of America, is the greed of the people that hide behind these elected figures like a Joe Biden, like a Donald Trump. I think you're fooling yourself if you think that the president actually runs things. They don't. Any president that doesn't fall in line with the script, well, they get assassinated. You've seen that with Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. So that just I'm just throwing that out there for y'all because it just seems like a lot of people out there are very tied into what political parties in control, who's running the political party, and what you guys don't realize is that you are fighting against each other, which is exactly what they want. They want to keep us divided. This goes not just for the United States of America, it goes for the whole world. They want to keep everybody divided. Why? Because then they can control people. This is why they want to assign you certain labels. They want you to vote Democrat or vote Republican or liberal and conservative and all those words that really don't mean a damn thing because it can mean many different things to many different people. Like somebody could categorize a liberal or conservative in a certain way, and then you're just going to generalize who that person is. And that's the problem. That's a large part of the problem is that people tie themselves to these false identifiers that they've given to us that we're supposed to use to represent who we are. When none of these people that run for office really represent the people, the masses, people who just want to live their life, spend as much time with their family, mind their business, and not bother nobody. But as I always say, the United States became a corporation a long, long time ago, and they are focused just on money. It's always been profit over people. So with this border thing and what's happening in Ecuador and in the countries south of the border, there's a lot of crime going on, and a lot of people are scared. Like, there's people out there who think that um, because you come from a country like Ecuador, Mexico, that you're not allowed to have fear, be scared of the criminal activity that's going down there. It's the same thing like how people look at the American black, should I say the real Indian that because we live in the same areas of people who do crime that we get along with them or that we're just like them. No, that's where you make the mistake. And I'm a proponent, highly proponent, and I'll always profess that we need more diversity and not skin color. I'm talking about diversity in thought, the way that we look at things, the way we break things down. There's so many different angles to look at certain things. And if you do it from a place of love, then there's nothing that we can't do to come together as a people. Not a black people, not a Spanish or Mexican or Asian, or whatever. Just as human beings, we got to save the human race. It is the year 2024. The age of Aquarius has started and the revelations have begun because what's going on in the dark is certainly coming to light. You already seen that. It's only 11 days into the new year. And I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of everything that has already been unveiled. And this is just the beginning. I wanted to touch some light onto what's happening in Ecuador, why so many people are trying to flee the country. Wouldn't you want to flee that situation? I for damn sure would. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna leave this topic right there. Please, please hit that subscribe button, share with a friend, run them likes up, and drop some comments below on what you think about this topic. Peace and one love.